The Art of Leadership Network.
Well, hey, leaders, welcome to the Lead Culture Podcast, part of the Art of Leadership Network. I'm your host, Jenni Catron, CEO of the Foresight Group. We're a company dedicated to helping leaders develop thriving teams. Each week, I'll be your guide as we explore practical strategies to equip you with the tools you need to lead with clarity, confidence, and build unstoppable momentum in your organization. My mission is to be your trusted coach, empowering you to master the art of self-leadership so you'll learn to lead yourself well so you can lead others better. Each week, we'll take a deep dive on a leadership or a culture topic. You'll hear stories from amazing guests and leaders like you who are committed to leading well. So let's dive in and keep learning on this leadership journey together. Well, friends, today I have a new friend joining me. Peter Ostapko is the founder of Kinsman and publisher of Kinsman Journal, a publication born from calling, conviction, and a deep belief that every man has a redemptive story to tell. And friends, I invited Peter to join me. We got to connect a few weeks ago. A mutual friend introduced us and just quickly appreciated his heart for equipping leaders, for specifically pouring into men, but really just understanding that sense of purpose and calling that each one of us has as leaders. So, Peter, I'm really thrilled that you joined me today. I'm excited for the conversation. So, welcome to the show. And I'd love for you to just give everybody a little bit more of the story. I gave the one-liner bio, but tell everybody a little bit more about you.
Well, Jenni, thank you so much for having me on. I would say my leadership journey started in my freshman year in college. Grew up in Southwest Missouri and still live there. And I went to a Christian school my freshman year, ended up going to a state school and finishing up. That's a different story. But my freshman year, Dr. Tim Elmore came.
Yes.
And he spoke to Evangel University. And that is exactly where my leadership journey began. Just the thought leadership conversation around just this idea of leadership and possibility and all of this. Like it just, when he spoke that fall, it just opened up this whole new world. And so, yeah, that's really where it started. So that would have been in the fall of 2004, 21 years ago.
That's fun. That's awesome. Well, first of all, Tim Elmore is just, I would say he's a friend, but he's just such an incredibly thoughtful, faithful, consistent leader. And when you have those moments that mark you, and I think most leaders have that moment, right? That moment they can point to and go, that's when somebody made me aware of what leadership actually is. That's when I started to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
So take us on the journey from there, from, college to now you're the founder of an organization. Give us a little bit of some of those milestones.
Yeah, these are fun. It's fun to share these because I think something that we all get caught in a trap is that we always feel like we're behind, right? And that comes from a place of comparison. And we all know that the enemy of contentment is comparison. Just the flesh within us, we just do that. We're looking to the left and to the right. We're like, oh, I guess we should launching a second location, or I should have been writing my third book by now, or
yes,
have, this or that. So anyways, I say that because the first 10, 11 years of my professional career, I was successfully drowning is how I would say that. And what I mean by that is I was really good at a lot of things. Thankfully, I kind of stumbled into some things that I was good at. Started out in the insurance world, actually in the auditing world, and then parlayed that kind of into a boutique lending outfit, and then did commercial banking. And so that was really the first part of my career. Mm-hmm. And I say successfully because I was good at it. I had some favor. I was able to have some leadership in various ways. Actually, before leaving the bank to pursue this full time, I was probably 5 years away from being the president of our community bank for our market, which would have been an extraordinary position and a wonderful vocation. But I knew it wasn't the right thing for me. But I say this because, those first 10, 11, 12 years, I was just searching. I knew there was something there, but I didn't know what it was. So I was frustrated a lot. I didn't feel like I was being optimized. I was patient. I left a couple of jobs probably a year or two before I should have. I made some mature moves. I did some things that
Sure.
look back and I'm like, I probably could have handled that a little bit differently. And I didn't like sabotage things or relationships, but I look back and I'm like, yeah, I was a bit of a knucklehead. I say that because like one of my favorite age groups to talk to are 20 guys in their 20s. Because this is what straight up, you don't need to know anything yet. Just try a bunch of things and figure out what you like. When you get to your 30s, you have a little bit more idea that you're like, oh, I'm actually kind of good at this and I enjoy it. And then you really start hitting your stride in your 40s and your 50s. So if you're 22 and you don't have a startup that you're 10Xing that you're going to sell, you're going
to be okay. Yep.
But that's the reality right now. So I go back to like those years and, there were moments where I was really, I love the work that I was doing. I was growing. I was happy. But then there was these times where I was just like, I feel like I'm just in a desert. But here's the neat thing about when you get older, there's not a lot of great things, but there are some. I just turned 40 this year. So but I look back, and this is, like when you start to get about this age, I think you can look back and you start to see this cohesive narrative that's starting to come together in your life.
Yep.
But most importantly, you see the people that, I'm a person of faith. And so people that God instrumentally used to help kind of navigate me in those years.
Yeah.
And the influence that they had. And so I had mentioned earlier, Dr. Tim Elmore was one of those. And I ended up going into Catalyst in 2011. That was a massive leadership moment for me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always knew there was going to be something more. Entrepreneurship and kind of, starting businesses was something that was kind of in our family vein. I had done that for as long as I've known him, like my whole entire life. He's never worked for anybody. He's always had companies and done various things. My mom did for a little bit too. But it's just something that's always, I've just been drawn to is just the creativity, the entrepreneurship, because really fundamentally what that is you see a problem and you're like, I feel like somebody should fix that or solve that problem. And leadership,
and then you realize that somebody is you.
Yes, exactly. Right. And then leadership is realizing it's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to do that. And then it's like, oh, I guess it's up to me. And if I don't do it, nothing's going to do it, or no one's going to do it. It's not going to get done.
Yeah.
And so, it's just the journey that I've had just in the organization now with Kinsman has been, it's been a whirlwind, mostly just incredible, beautiful moments of learning and growth and connection.
Sure.
But yeah, there's been some super high mountaintop moments and some, trenches moments where I'm like, what in the world did we just
what have I done? So, yep.
Yeah.
It's I appreciate you sharing just a little bit of your story and your journey, because I was just shy of 40 when I launched the Foresight Group.
Yeah.
And it's so disruptive to have had almost a couple of decades of like good career work where you were thriving. And I love that phrase, successfully drowning, because like we're winning but I was always in over my head. But then to pivot and do something that like go out and do something that you feel like God has called you to do. And I don't know about you, but when I started Foresight, I was stumbling all over myself of like learning new skills of how to be an entrepreneur and just the ups and downs that come with being the senior leader instead of a senior leader. And it's a wild journey and incredibly humbling at some points. For me, at least, that was the like, whew, I thought I had a lot of things figured out. And then it's like, I'm back on this journey of learning a whole new set of skills and learning a whole lot more about myself. But
But the beauty in that, and I would ask you this, is like, you love what you do. It fires you up to do what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, that's it. You realize that, that you're like, this is what I was made to do.
That's
some people find that at 29, some people find it at 38, some at 40, some at 56.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And so everybody finds it at different places and times, so long as we continue to be curious and lean into it. Some are fearful and never take the leap. But entrepreneurship too is not for everybody,
Yeah, right.
And leadership certainly is a part of every organization, fundamental, its influence, as John Maxwell would say, leadership influence. But I tell you what, though, like it for the first time in my life in the last few years, since I left the bank actually 2 years ago, October of 2023, so a little over 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I will tell you, I have never worked so hard in my life. I've also never been so fulfilled. And I don't, like when I go home, I'm not stressed or tired from like that type of exhaustion. I'm tired because I'm like, I gave everything that I had today. And
Yeah.
it feels really good,
That's cool.
and the buck stops here. I mean, I've made some bonehead decisions, we can talk about those if you want, but this is actually really fun. So we're sitting, this is the last day I'm at the bank, and we go to like a team luncheon, and we're sitting there around the table, and everybody's just, we're just kind of sharing stories and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
it's just a traditional bank, it's a little less than $1 billion in assets. So it's a community bank, and
Yep.
wonderful people. Half of the people have been there for 40 years, and then a few of them are, there for 5 or 10, and, but just a wonderful environment. But anyways, it's our lending team, and we're sitting there, and we're kind of talking and asking questions. And one of the other lenders, our senior lender, she goes, "So Peter, what are you most looking forward to?" And I knew the answer immediately. My boss was there, so he kind of joked about it. But I said, I'm looking forward to just making the decision and having a gut instinct and just being able to just go with it. And because in the banking world, it's like compliance and like,
oh, totally. Yeah.
That's this and that. And there's a place for a level of authority and, accountability and balance. We have a board and stuff like that. But
right.
It's been really neat just to be like, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go for it. That has been one of the most liberating parts of this journey, that it's just, it's hard to really articulate unless you're in that seat where you can be like, I get to make this decision and go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Well, and to think about, coming from a banking background, the compliance, the like rules, the process is all necessary and part of it. We need those things in our financial institutions, but that's a totally different thing. Like to go from that to being you're the key decision maker. So let's go back. I'd love for you to fill in for everybody what Kinsman is, why you did start it, what you were seeing. So give us a little bit of the backstory of the vision for it, what it is, what it looks like.
Yeah. So, I said earlier, kind of a lot of entrepreneurial journeys really start with a pain point or a problem and have a burden to be like, somebody should do something about that, And so in 2017, I would have been, 32 at the time. I was in Wichita, Kansas, and I've shared the story on various different ways, but I was in Wichita, Kansas, finished up my day, had a couple meetings, and I'd usually find myself either at a bookstore or a coffee shop or a combination of both. Found myself at the Barnes & Noble there. I think it was off Kellogg, for those of you that are in Wichita. And I'm just perusing through the business book section, and I see this book, and it says The Revenge of Analog, Real Things and Why They Matter. And I was just drawn to this book. I was like, this sounds really fascinating. So I pick it up, and I started just kind of, peeking through it. And there was a couple of chapters that just completely sparked my imagination. It was The Revenge of Print and The Revenge of Paper. And some of that goes into my own personal story. I told you about my parents. My dad was an entrepreneur, and he actually, during the 90s, he had these magazines here locally that were very, very popular. They're kind of like city lifestyle type magazines. And so anyways, I was kind of around that when I was a kid. So I've just always had this intrigue to, the printed word. And so I ended up buying the book, read through it, started listening to all the podcasts that the author had been on. It wasn't a Christian book. It wasn't really even a business book per se. It was more of like a sociological culture book, really, that had some business undertones. And it was a Canadian-born journalist. His name is David Sachs. And anyway, so read the book, listened to it, listened to these podcasts, and I was like, why do I care so much about this? And I just started to lean into the curiosity. And that led me to really for the next 3 years of just observing, reading, and listening to what's happening in media, men's media, the church, very much a part of our local church, fatherhood. I was a young father at the time, and just really just started taking an interest in these things, what's happening in these spaces, and then kind of fusing them together. And so after about 2.5 years, I said, I think we're going to publish this really high-end magazine, and it's going to be for guys. And of course, there was nothing like it out there. Like I tried to go find something to read that was kind of filling this void. And I was like, I'm not seeing it anywhere. And so I was like, we should go create that. And so for the next couple of years after that, so this would have been in the summer of 2019, I put together kind of the plan. And I said, all right, Lord, if you're going to make this happen, you're going to have to make it happen. And so I put together a budget, and just, no kidding, providentially and miraculously, the Lord just provided for this project to come to fruition over the next 2.5 years. And so we released the journal in March of 2022. All of this was birthed in the margins. I didn't work on the weekends. I occasionally took a bank holiday because banks, we get a lot of holidays. But but it was before the kids got up and after they went to bed. I had a lot of
Yeah.
11 p.m.s and was just kind of putting in the hours and just slowly just being faithful in the next thing.
That's cool.
The Lord was faithful in providing so that we could see this come to fruition. So we put that into the world in March of 22. It's a collection. The book, Kinsman Journal, is 240 pages of essays, photography. It's just beautiful content. It's timeless. Our first print run was 2,000, sold half, gave half away. Did a second print run last year. I think we've sold or distributed, nearly 4,500 of these books across different parts of the world. And
that's awesome.
I get emails from guys that are like, hey man, this thing's sitting at my coffee table. My brother-in-law was in town for the first time in 2 years. And we were sitting there talking about all the stuff in the journal for 3 hours. It's just
wow.
And the themes about the book are faith, fatherhood, and work. But really, it's just a breadth of conversation and topics that are really, I believe, integrated into the life of a follower of Jesus, male or female. A lot of things we talk about in the male context can easily just be adapted to the female context.
Sure. Yeah.
Anyway, so it started out with the book. And then, people would ask a lot, like, what does community look like for you guys? And so we started doing gatherings in the summer of 2023. And now we do 4 different types of intentional curated gatherings that have become this beautiful, I say this intentionally, connective tissue of our community. Connective tissue, doctors will tell you, it's this part of the body that heals the organs, right?
Yep.
And so what these gatherings have become this connective tissue of men in our community. It's not a denominational thing. It's not a business thing. It's not a Baptist thing. It's a combination. It's a community local thing. And it's been amazing. So the table's kind of our signature gathering. We've done a few different other ones, but it's been a blast. So we do publishing, gatherings, and podcasting, and there's a whole lot more on the horizon. But it's the most common career path is to be a banker, finance guy turned startup nonprofit, print a book and living out of it. So it sounds great.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. So clearly you've connected with a need that that guys are responding to. What do you think that is? Like, what about what you've created is helping connect with men in a way that maybe they weren't otherwise connected?
I love this. There's 2 answers. Everything that we do, and I say this often. I said this morning, I had a guy sitting in the office next to me. He's like, how'd you come up with all this stuff? I was like, well, hold on a second. Everything that we do is because I want and need it for myself.
Right. Yep.
I need companionship. I need friendship. I want connection. I want depth. I want to grow. But I don't want all those things to come at the expense of like my soul and my character. And so, there's a lot of faith and work discussion. That's great. There's a lot of like men's ministry discussion, and that's great. Yep. It's like, what about the fully integrated of all of that?
All of it. Yeah.
And so that's kind of, so anyways, it starts with like, I want and need this for myself. But one of my favorite things that I hear, we hold our table gathering 3 times a year. And it's an invite only format. I have about a 450 guy list and I can only invite about 100, or I can only have about 125 men there.
Wow.
That's still a considerable amount of guys, but.
Right. Yeah. But the fact that you have that big of a list of people who would like to be.
Here's why though, is we remove every like transactional condition expectation. We don't want anything from anybody. We genuinely, like, we're not trying to extract and get something from them. We want to set the table and create an environment for guys just to come and be and to receive. And that's actually, we've stumbled into it by God's grace, but it's actually a very hard thing to do because nearly everything in our lives, especially in the marketplace in the professional business world, is I do this for you, you do this for me.
It's transactional.
It's transaction. And that's fine. It's wonderful. It works. There's this trade-off benefit, but for the work of we're trying to do, it's not necessary. So my favorite thing that I hear guys say, and they'll say this, the first time we did the table, I heard this 9 times. Half of those guys were in tears. They said, I didn't know how much I needed.
Right.
Yeah. And it just speaks to the soul. It speaks to the place of our need for the human condition.
Yep.
And so that's been something that I've tried not to lose sight of. And it's resulted in our not trying to grow and expand and get bigger and make bigger rooms and this, and that. I'm like, no. We're still trying to let's just figure out what this is. If there's one thing I would want to really encourage the listeners to is growth and scale is in many cases not the answer.
Ooh.
And
we're so conditioned to expect that.
What's that?
I said, we're so conditioned to pursue that.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And what I mean by those things will happen. But if the aim is growth, if the goal is hey, well, we want to scale this and this, and we have this in 3 years and this in 5 years, it's okay to have vision, but you have to kind of allow things to unfold. And I think sometimes what happens is entrepreneurs, we get so, and leaders get so in our own heads that we lose sight and we become numb to everything else because we're so fixated on our plan and our idea.
That's really good. Well said.
What I found for us is that we've just allowed it to unfold. And there are some things that I kind of wanted to do a little bit a certain way or differently. And it's no, that was not the proper expression. That was not the proper frequency. That was not the proper direction. And thankfully, I didn't, white knuckle it so that it drowned us. You know what I mean? I just said, okay, that's not going to be what we're going to do. And so I think allowing it to unfold and also too, waiting. This is a really fun, easy word. Waiting. We all love this as leaders. But waiting time is not wasted time.
Yeah.
And also waiting is not being idle and doing nothing. What it means is you're not going to make a decision that if it goes wrong, it's going to sink the organization or your team. It's just being wise and discerning of the decisions that you make and where and when to make those decisions,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyways, I kind of want to change it there. But
no, that's so good. There's so many things because I was taking a bunch of notes, even hearing you. First of all, I want to highlight what you talked about of you created something that you needed for yourself.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times, and then when you said that some of those guys said to you, I didn't know I needed this. Yeah. I think sometimes we're not in tune enough to what we need and what will allow us to thrive in who God has gifted us, called us, wired us, equipped us to be. We get numb to that because we're just doing all the things we think we should do. And so what I love about what you were noticing and paying attention to is you were aware of, hey, here's what I need. And oftentimes the thing, when we tune into the thing we need, the reason why we're noticing it is because God's put it in there because other people need it too, right? So it's it's coming from this place of, hey, here's something, it's stirring in us. God's stirring something in us, but he's stirring it in us, not just for us, right? He's got somebody else in mind for that. And when I think about everything, that, the different things God has allowed me to do, it's always started with what he's doing in me, but it's not enough for it to just stop there. And so I love that.
Well, he's far more interested, Jenni, in who you're becoming in him than what you're doing.
Right. Yeah.
Always, every time, full stop, period. It's just true. That's what he cares most about, because when you are your true self, you are a better spouse and helpmate. You're a better parent. You're a better friend. You're a better leader. Jeremy Kubicek talks about this. He says, you have to know yourself to lead yourself.
Mm-hmm.
If you know yourself, you can lead yourself, and then you can lead others. And that is very hard to do, because you have to be self-aware. You have to have a sense of humility to say, you know what? I don't really know this. I'm not good at this. I thought I was good at this, but I'm actually not very good. This is actually draining the organization, or it's causing problems in my team, or whatever it's for you. But having that self-awareness is incredibly important. And I'm learning that. Honestly, I will tell you, that's been one of the things I think that's been the biggest stretch for me this past year, especially, is I can't do everything. And I know I need to delegate, and I'm learning, but the process of, when you hire staff or a team, and that's a massive commitment. And so I'm baby stepping my way. And so we've had some, people that have been added part-time or contract labor and stuff. But then I've seen massive inefficiencies and inadequacies in my ability to quote unquote onboard people, because I've never done this before. So it's just
right.
Just, there's nothing that shows your inadequacies or imperfections better than leading and parenting. I mean, it's just so I'm kind of in the thick of all that right now. It's great.
Oh, I love it. And thanks for your honesty in that, because that is the truth, right? It's well, and our intentions are, only go so far. It's what people experience and how they experience that, is a big deal. So that's hilarious. That's
Well,
fun.
I think I'll say this too. One real quick thing is like, we're all human beings. And so often we get fixated on being human doings. And it's like, I just, people connect with humanity. Like when we are just honest with ourselves and with other people. And honesty is not like, well, you do you, I'm gonna be me. Well, no, because that can become very damaging pretty quickly. It's more of a posture of humility, saying, you know what, I made a mistake, or like, hey, I need some help here, or where have you found that I have been the best leader to you? Is it when I do this, or is it when I provide feedback, or when I give you space? Like just allowing other people in and not being so guarded for yourself. And that's not an easy thing to do, especially because if you are in leadership or if you are someone who started a company or whatever, it's because you instinctively have this take it or take charge and like, I'm going to make this happen. Like that's why you're in that role and position.
Right.
But
Yep.
there's a whole other part of your brain that you need to flex to say, oh, but I actually have limitations. I need to have you come in and help me with this. And so
that's so good. Yeah. The very thing that like gives you the courage and the willingness to step out and risk and launch and do the new thing is you've got to be willing to also then, like swing to the humility side of and there's things I don't know and there's things I'm not good at. And so that's like living between those two tensions, I think can be really challenging for leaders. So I love that you named that.
Yeah. One of the best I ever read was StrengthsFinder in this practically speaking.
Yep.
So good. That and Peace Index, I mentioned it, Jeremy Kubicek, like those two were really foundational for me. They really helped me put a framework and some language around some things for me. Like if when people ask me, they're like in a searching time of their life, or just, I said, I would read those two books. The Peace
That's
Index,
really good.
StrengthsFinder, they're tremendous.
We'll link those in the show notes because I always love good book recommendations. So good. I want to hit on this because one of the things that I appreciated when we first connected was hearing you talk about, and you hit it earlier too when you were talking about Kinsman, but the community you've created, that environment, like even when you created that first journal, you created a feel that connected with the men who read it. You created a culture that they have been drawn to. Yeah. And I'd love to know and get your thoughts on what do leaders need to be thinking about when they're creating environments that engage people. You've clearly created something that is engaging men, that's created kind of a new space and a way for men to connect. How do we as leaders need to be thinking about how we're creating environments that engage people?
Yeah, this question. How would I say this? Like, I think one thing. So I'm going to talk about like the actual curation of like the actual physical room. I want to talk about that in a second, but let me first say
sure.
When you want to gather and bring people together, I think sometimes where people miss it is there's a projection of agenda, and people are like, oh, actually, they want something here, right?
Right.
Like even Chamber of Commerce events. I love our local Chamber of Commerce. It's great. But it's the same thing, right? It's the same presentation, the same sponsorship stuff. It's the same thing. Everybody's kind of promoting themselves. And there's a place for like recognition, but it's just kind of people come to expect, oh, this is what this is going to be. So in the context of like a meeting, right? So people just kind of have this like, oh, this is what this is going to be. We're kind of used to this. So anytime you can do something that completely thrusts that, where they're not expecting it, people are like, I think their antennas are up and they're just like, oh, wow, this is different. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this is neat.
Yeah.
So you're kind of awakening the senses. Now, this kind of dovetails into my next point. Environment matters. Environment matters. The colors of the wall matter. The chairs that they're sitting in matter. The food they're eating matters. These things matter a lot. Now, I'm not saying you need to go rent a really fancy place for every time you have a 30-minute meeting. That's not what I mean. But sometimes, or I should say this, more often than not, when leaders are making decisions, they make it purely based on practicality. And sometimes it can be incredibly practical. And when you're impractical, it awakens the humanity in people. Because people are sticky, they're messy, they're inefficient, they have issues, they have problems, they have families, they have stories, they have complex situations. I mean, that's humanity. So it's like when you allow people to be who they are in a way that they don't expect, especially in a corporate environment, you're going to get a lot more from people. Doesn't mean you have long tables and rooms. That's not what I mean, stuff like that. But environment really matters, and the way in which you bring a room together matters. And I think as leaders or as business owners, I think you have tremendous opportunity and influence just by the way in which you bring people together.
Mm-hmm.
Have a meaning for every single meeting that you do. Like,
That's good.
it just like, don't just do things because you've always done them that way. Or say, hey, you
Yeah.
know what? Usually on Fridays we meet here, but you know what? On the first Friday of every single month, instead we're going to have this meeting over at in this building or in this space, and this is what we're going to do to start it. Just kind of changing things up a little bit creates different energy and excitement for people. But by the place of community, I'll say this: Seth Godin in his book Tribes, he said, a tribe needs two things: a shared interest and a way to communicate. And we've found just through Kinsman and the things we've done that there's just a shared interest. But just by simply creating these rooms and the book and the audio, the podcasts, and all the things we do, we've given them a way to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, in the future, one of the most valuable ways in which a leader can add value to his team, to their clients, their customers, whatever, just how we can add value to people is in the curation and the way that we bring them together.
Ooh.
Because technology and just the pace of life is so rapid and so fast. The way in which you bring people together, if it's done the right way, it has the opportunity to, in some ways, slow things down and bring back a sense of humanity,
Gosh.
And listen, I'm not saying every company needs to do the types of things that we do. That's not what I mean. But I do think we need to be much more creative about the way that we engage with people, because they are people.
Yep.
They're made in the image of God. They are the Imago Dei. So they're not a computer. Like, we should not treat people like tech machines. They're not tech machines. They're very complex organisms. We feel emotions, families and parents and kids and all that stuff. And I think there's so much opportunity there in the way in which we interact and treat people as leaders and as business owners. And people are craving it. They're longing in their soul to two things: to matter and to belong. And if they feel that, if you have an employee that feels like they matter and they belong in your workplace, I mean, they will give you 125%, and you're banking on 50% because that's the bottom tier right now. I'm just telling
completely.
you, if you do that, people they'll run through a brick wall for you. And if they don't identify, they're like, you know what, I'm not really the right fit anymore. Great. Bless them on their way. Buy them flowers as they're on their last day. Bless them as they leave. But when you have people, just pour into them and make them feel like they matter and belong, and they'll give you everything they've got. They just will. That's how we're wired.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm refraining from just cheering every part of what you just said, which our listeners will know because they know me well enough to know that. But I couldn't agree with you more, especially on I think we take for granted the simple environments, that meeting that we're about to do, or, just the office environment day in and day out, and like you said, it doesn't have to be big and flashy and every time and every day, but it's what the word that I jotted down as I was hearing you talk was intentionality. That leaders, one of the kind of mantras that we talk about a lot with our culture work is that people are the point. That foundationally to everything we do as leaders and building cultures and environments is recognizing that people are at the heart of it. And I love what you said, that it's really about they want to matter and they want to belong. And if leaders are thinking about that in just the simple things in the environments we're creating, those moments, the meetings, the interactions, and we're going, does my team understand that they matter and that they belong here? And those are the things, and we know this in all of the data and the research, that those are the things that drive engagement. Now, there's a ton of things we need to do as well, just practically, but to your point, we tend to focus on all the practical stuff and we miss the relational stuff that really is the glue that creates environments and holds people together. Everybody needs to go back and rewind and rewind. That's really old school.
Yeah. Well, to piggyback on that just a second too, one of the reasons why the potency that we've seen in these environments we're creating is, we use this word a lot, demonstration. There was a Quaker theologian in the 1940s, or he passed away, I think, in the 1980s or 90s, but he wrote a lot in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. His name was Dr. Elton Trueblood. And he wrote a book called The Alternative to Futility. And he wrote it post World War II. So it had a lot of, just kind of theming and story of coming out of the world basically being at war for, the better part of 5 to 7 years, give or take, depending on what part of the world you're at. But anyways, the line that he uses in there has become something we've really held on to. He goes, "What men need is not intellectual theorizing, but a demonstration of what it looks like to love one another with the great love of God."
Wow.
And those words ring so true right now. This translates so easily in our workplace. You could put everything you want on the wall with core values and what drives our company and mission statement, and this is our culture, yada, yada, yada. It means absolutely nothing unless it's actually demonstrated and lived out.
Yep.
You might as well just put on the wall, "We don't know what we're talking about, but we're going to have fun." I mean, seriously.
No, you're exactly right. Yeah.
I mean, seriously. So demonstration is huge. But one of the things that leaders have incredible influence is when you lead authentically from your true self, not your false self, you give permission to everyone else.
That's
so
good.
Maybe a simple little hack is the next time you have a meeting, rather than having people report or give updates of this, you start the meeting by saying, "Hey, here's something that I've learned that is a deficiency in my leadership or that I'm learning to get better at. And I wanted to share it with you guys as the team." Just see what that does to open up. Holy smokes. People will be like,
right?
"We're going to have John fall out of his chair and spill his coffee." Seriously, people will be like, wait, what's happening now? But and this is what we've seen. It gives permission.
That's right.
Everybody wants to say so much more, but they're afraid to say it. But leaders have the responsibility and the obligation to lead and to do otherwise what other people don't do, at least first. You got to run through the wall. And it's like, when you do that, though, you're going to open up so much opportunity in the people and in your company and on your teams or whatever, and your customers, just by you being more authentic and true. And you don't have to air out your life. That's not what I mean.
That's right. That's right.
There's a huge difference in the false self and just be performing the way that you think the world's supposed to make you show up and perform versus you know what? Hey, you know what? I'm really not at my best today. A couple things happened last night, and just being a human, just watch what it does to open up so many different dynamics.
Yes.
It's remarkable. People are craving that stuff. They just are. And it makes them want to work harder because they're like, I'm not just working for the man, I'm working for John. And right now, he's had a rough go the last couple of weeks. So I want to support my friend and take care of him and help him. It's a completely different internal conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's powerful. That's powerful. And you're so right. And why do you think it is, Peter? And I know we probably need to wrap up because I'm already this is such a good conversation. We're having way too much fun. I love it. Well, such great perspective and insight. But why do you think it is that we struggle to have those moments of honesty or vulnerability as leaders? What keeps us from that? Is it some kind of fear, insecurity? What's holding us back from that?
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Well, because, I think you don't want to reveal any level of inadequacy or imperfection.
Right. And we feel like we're supposed to know it all and be it all because we're in that role.
Conditioned to I'm the boss or I'm the leader. I'm supposed to have the answers. And let me say this too, there's a place there's information, there's knowledge that the leader or the owner carries that the others just won't know and they won't understand. And that's a real thing. That's a real thing. And that's a weight that comes with that. But at the same time, though, I think what's happened is people, we've just been so conditioned to think that people don't genuinely care. And I think that's why. I think that's it. I think that's why a lot of people don't really open up, because we're just on to the next thing. And rather than, or even sometimes too, I've been working on this. I've had a mentor of mine that's helping me with this. Is, as a dad, as a father, especially as a husband, guys, we're always trying to fix it, right? We're always trying to fix it. And sometimes my wife will be like, "Honey, I just need you to listen to what I have to say right now. I don't need you to try to fix anything," And sometimes I think as leaders too, I think what an opportunity.
We need to hear that.
Just to sit and to listen to people and just to be with them, meet them where they are. I think there's a tremendous amount of opportunity. Empathy is the most important characteristic and trait of a leader right now. You have to be able to empathize and understand people if you want them to work in unison to achieve a goal or anything like that. Yeah, the other is you can do it with fear mongering or power, and you might get some results that you want on the short term.
Yeah.
Then you can have a big, wide back door where people are going to be running out the back door. So empathy is really important.
So good. Good grief. I mean, you just kept dropping nuggets. I've like got scribbles everywhere. I want to restate this though, because I think this is huge. And I think I want our leaders listening to be thinking about this. You made the comment that we're conditioned to think that people don't genuinely care.
Yeah.
Like we're just conditioned to think that people don't care. And I want to just challenge every leader who's listening of like, how can I make that not true of my team, that my team knows that I genuinely care? Like, like if I were to think about, is it possible that my team thinks I don't care? Because I know I care, but are they experiencing me as someone who genuinely cares and is interested and wants to make sure they know that they matter, that they belong? And so almost making that our mission to go, I want to recondition them to expect that their leader cares.
Absolutely.
So powerful.
A simple way to do that every Friday morning, look back over the week and just say, okay, every Friday morning, I'm going to write 3 cards to 3 people, thanking them for something they did this week.
Brilliant.
Don't send them a text. Don't send them an email. Those have 0 human component to them. They're technological digits. Handwriting is an expression of your physical body and your soul. Write that on a piece of paper and you hand that to me and say, hey, just want to say thank you. Appreciate the work this week. Here's what's going to happen. That person is going to take that. They're going to read that. They're going to read it again. They're going to close it and they're going to put it in their drawer and they're going to keep it there.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what they're going to do. They're not going to rip it up immediately and throw it away unless you buy a cheap card where you just sign your name and the card was printed and it said everything. That's the same thing as a text or an email. Might as well save the money. But if you write them a thank you, say, hey, thank you so much for your hard work this week. I know it was rough kind of going through those things, but you picked up the slack here or there. Like, I really, really appreciate it. And just what? Or a gift card to Starbucks? Like, seriously. Like, there's so much low hanging fruit, but you do have to create systems or a sense of intentionality to like pause and say, okay, what can I do to care for my team, to care for my people that I have been entrusted with, that I'm stewarding.
That's right.
Company as a leader. It's a tremendous responsibility, but it's also a tremendous opportunity to really influence and shape the lives of people and their families. Here's a part that a lot of people forget.
That's good.
When you're a leader, the influence that you have on the people that follow you, specifically their families, you have no clue.
That's so good. So true.
Don't know. Like, I remember days coming home, and I'm not going to say which companies, but like where I had really, really a really difficult boss or two and changed the entire environment of my home. It's partially because I was immature in a sense that I kept it, bottled it up, and I didn't know how to handle it. But it is real, though, that if you are working for someone who is just tearing you down or you're never good enough or all of that, to think that you can just be like, oh, I'm pulling in my driveway and now it's not going to influence my children. But on the flip side, you can give their families the most wonderful gift by just serving them and loving them and teaching them and showing up for them so that when they go home, they can be their best self. What an amazing opportunity as a leader.
Huge. That's so well said. So good. So good. As you were talking about the handwritten note, because I think we undervalue that, I was thinking about back here on my shelf. You can't quite see it, but there's a box that sits on my shelf and it's all handwritten notes that I've received. I keep every one of them, right? Like it's meaningful. It's special. There's something unique and distinct about that. So I love that you gave us that action step. Good grief, Peter. I probably just need to have you come back and we do a whole nother episode because you drop so much good wisdom and insight and perspective. Before you go, I want you to help us know how we can connect more with you, how we can learn more about Kinsman. Just help us know the best ways to stay in touch with you.
Oh, thank you so much. This has been so fun. Yeah, a few quick things. Organization kinsman.org. That's kinsmen.org. We have some, content on there, some essays. A lot of thoughtful writing is on there. The journal, the publication. I'm not sure when this episode's coming out, but it's just a beautiful gift. It's packaged up. It's just a really, really thoughtful, beautiful gift. And then I'm personally most involved on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. You can look me up.
Perfect.
On there. But then we also have some videos on our site. We have a documentary that we put out that kind of shares a high level of some things that we do. But yeah, would love to connect with anybody anytime. So,
that's awesome. Peter, we'll link to all of those in the show notes as well, so everybody can go check that out. And this will release before Christmas of this year, so there's still a chance that you could get that as a gift. Should be enough time. So guys, check that out, especially if there is a leader in your life that, as you've heard Peter talk and share, that you just think, yep, this would be a great resource for them. Make that connection. So valuable. Peter, thank you for your leadership. Thanks for your just faithfulness and obedience to step out and create something that God was birthing in you, and just seeing the way it's connecting with the men, of course, that you lead, that are a part of Kinsman, but all of us, in just hearing what you're doing and how you're leading is such an inspiration. So grateful for you. This was so fun. I appreciate you.
Oh, absolutely.
Appreciate you.
Thank you so much for having me.
And leaders, I want to encourage you. Peter talked a lot about just creating those environments, creating those communities that help people connect. And that is the very reason we created the Lead Culture Network. For those of you that are leaders, culture champions, the network was designed to help you find your people and have the resources, the training, the coaching, the support that you need to lead well. And you can still get the founding member rate before the end of the year. So make sure you click on the link in the show notes. Check out the network, get registered before the end of the year so you can jump in and really commit to building your culture plan in 2026. We are so grateful to just have the opportunity to connect with you, to lead with you. And so I want to thank you for listening, for following along. Be sure to share this episode. I know that what you heard from Peter today is going to be a great, just great insights and nuggets that you want to share with somebody else. So make sure you share it, leave a review, and then we'll see you next week.